Hello everyone, welcome to course study on solid mechanics. In today's lecture we are going to discuss about the moment of inertia for various cross sections, theory of simple bending and the concept of neutral layer and neutral axis. So we will discuss about the moment of inertia for various solid cross section first of all. Concentrate on a rectangular section. The figure shows a rectangular section which has a width b and depth d. If I consider the moment of inertia about x-axis, then it is bd cube by 12. So this value of bd cube by 12 is nothing but it is the value of moment of inertia about x-axis which is passing through its CG. Now the moment of inertia about y-axis which is passing through its center of gravity is db cube by 12. In the same manner, if I consider the moment of inertia about its base, that is CD, then the moment of inertia about CD is given by BD cube by 3. This is all about the moment of inertia for a rectangular section when the axes are passing through its CG, or if I consider the axis about its base. Now we will concentrate on a next section of the beam, that is a triangular section. From figure, consider a triangular section ABC which has a base B and height h. The CG of the triangular section is located at a distance of h by 3 from its base, and from its apex it is at a distance of 2h by 3. Now we will consider the different values of moment of inertia which is passing through the different section. If I consider moment of inertia about apex, means it is moment of inertia about apex is given by bh by 4. This ix dash x dash is equal to bh cube by 4 is nothing but it is the moment of inertia of triangular section about its apex. If I consider moment of inertia through its CG, then it is given by bh cube by 36. This is the moment of inertia about its centroidal axis. Now we will concentrate on moment of inertia about its base, that is IBC is equal to bh cube by 12. This is all about the moment of inertia for a different cross section and for the line which are passing through its CG, through its apex, through its base. Now we will concentrate on a circular section. From figure, consider a circular section which has a diameter d. The x-axis and y-axis both are passing through its CG. Therefore, as it is a circular section, we have ixx and iyy as the same value. Therefore, it is given by ixx is equal to iyy, which is equal to pi by 64 d raised to 4, where d is nothing but the diameter of the circular section. Now we will concentrate on semicircle. The figure shows a semicircle which has a radius r. Xx is the axis which is passing through its CG, and it is located at a height of 0.424 of radius from its base AB. In the same manner, we will consider the moment of inertia about y-axis also, and which is passing through its CG. But remember that as about y-axis, our semicircle is symmetrical. Therefore, we are going to consider the value of Iyy as pi by 8 r raised to 4. And now we will consider on the value of moment of inertia about AB axis. Therefore, from figure you can see that the moment of inertia about Ixx is given by 0.11 r raised to 4. This is the value of moment of inertia about x-axis which is passing through its CG, and r is nothing but the radius of the semicircle. In the same manner, if you consider the moment of inertia about its base, then it is given by IAB, which is equal to pi by 8 r raised to 4. And about y-axis, again we have the value of moment of inertia, it is pi by 8 r raised to 4. Means about base and about vertical axis we have the moment of inertia as the same. Now we will concentrate on another section, and that is quadrant. From figure we can see that a quadrant which has a radius r. Its CG about x axis is located at a depth of or at a height of 0.424 of radius. Therefore, if I consider the moment of inertia about x axis means about this axis, the moment of inertia is given by 0.0549 radius raised to 4, that is r raised to 4, and the moment of inertia about its base, that is IAB, is given by pi by 16 r raised to 4. This is all about the moment of inertia for various solid cross sections. Now we will concentrate on the moment of inertia for a hollow cross section. In the last slide we have discussed about a moment of inertia for the rectangular section also and for a circular section also. Now we will concentrate on hollow rectangular section. The figure shows a hollow rectangular section which has a external width is equal to capital B, external depth is equal to which has a external width equal to B and external depth is equal to D. In the same manner, it has internal width as a B1 and internal depth as a D1. This is the hollow rectangular section. Therefore, for a hollow rectangular section, we have the moment of inertia about x axis as BD cube by 12 minus B1 D1 cube by 12, means a greater rectangular section minus the internal rectangular section. In the same manner, we will concentrate on IYY, means it's a moment of inertia for the hollow rectangular section about YY axis. It is given by dB cube by 12 minus D1 B1 cube by 12. So in this manner, we can find out the moment of inertia for a hollow rectangular section. Now we will concentrate on hollow circular section. For a hollow circular section, the external diameter is capital D, whereas the internal diameter is small d. If I consider the moment of inertia about Ixx or Iyy, then both values are same. Therefore, about both the values of moment of inertia are given by pi by 64 capital D raised to 4 minus small d raised to 4, because the external diameter is greater than the internal diameter, and the external diameter has a diameter equal to capital D, whereas internal one is small d. So in this way, we have discussed about the moment of inertia for various solid cross section also and for various hollow sections also. This moment of inertia we have to use to solve the numerical which are based on the concept of simple bending or pure bending. Now we will discuss about the theory of simple bending, or it is also known as pure bending. Now what is simple bending or pure bending? It means that if at every cross section of a certain portion of beam there is only bending moment and there is no other force, it may be a shear force or axial force, then that portion of the beam is said to be under action of pure bending. It means that in case of simple bending or pure bending, every cross section of certain portion of beam is subjected to only bending moment. It does not subjected to any vertical shear force or any axial force. It is subjected to only bending moment. Then such a state of the beam is known as under simple bending or pure bending. In such a case, the value of bending moment is same at every cross section of the beam. In case of simple bending or pure bending, the value of bending moment is same at every cross section of the beam. Such a portion is bent in the form of arc of the circle. When a beam is subjected to a simple bending or the pure bending, then it bent in the form of arc of the circle. But remember that in reality a state of pure bending does not exist. It is a hypothetical one. We have assumed it for deriving the derivation of flexural formula. If you have to consider a state of pure bending or simple bending, for that purpose we will require a absolutely weightless member. But in nature there is nothing which has a zero weight. Everything which is available in nature, it has some weight. Therefore, it is a hypothetical one. It is an assumption which is made for the derivation of flexural formula or bending stress formula. Now, from figure, consider a simply supported beam AB of span L. It is seen that for the portion of CD at any cross section there is only bending moment, and that the value of that bending moment is P into A. Means from the figure you have to concentrate on a beam AB which is simply supported over its support, and it is subjected to external load P at 2 points. This is one point, this is second point. The portion CD, it is under the state of pure bending, as it is subjected to only the bending moment action, and the value of that bending moment is given by P into A. This diagram, it shows the shear force diagram for the given beam, and this diagram, it gives the bending moment diagram for a given beam. Remember that for a state of pure bending, the maximum bending moment is given by P into A for this case. Now for the concept of simple bending or pure bending, we have to assume something. The first one is the beam is initially straight and unstraight one. For the purpose of simple bending, the first condition is that the beam should be straight one and it is stress free. No initial stresses should be there in the beam. The second assumption is the material of the beam is perfectly homogeneous and isotropic. It means that homogeneous and isotropic, it means that it has same density and elastic property throughout its length, and isotropic means it has same property in all the directions. The third assumption is the elastic limit is nowhere exceeded. The elastic limit is nowhere exceeded, it means that it must obey the Hooke's law. That is, within the elastic limit, the stress must be proportional to the strain. The fourth assumption is Young's modulus for the material is same in tension and compression. Means if the beam is subjected to a tension or compression stresses, there should be no change in its E value, that is in Young's modulus of value. The fifth assumption is the plane cross section remain plane before and after bending. If you consider the section of the beam as a rectangular section, then that section should remain as it is before and after bending. There should not be any warping or distortion in its shape. The sixth assumption is every cross section of the beam is symmetrical about the plane of the bending, that is about an axis perpendicular to the neutral axis. The seventh assumption is there is no resultant force perpendicular to any cross section. And the last one is the radius of curvature is large as compared to the depth of the beam. The radius of curvature is large as compared to depth of the beam means when a beam is subjected to a bending moment, under the action of bending moment, the beam will bend in the shape of arc. As it will bend in the shape of arc, it has radius, and that radius of curvature, it must be greater than the depth of the beam. So all those are the assumptions which are used for the case of simple bending or pure bending, and those assumptions we are utilizing to derive the relation between flexural formula M upon I sigma by y and E upon R. Now we will discuss about the concept of neutral layer and neutral axis. What is neutral layer and neutral axis? In case of neutral layer in the beam, a layer which does not change its original length even after bending is called as a neutral layer. From this figure we can see this is a beam. For that particular beam, this horizontal dotted line is nothing but it's a neutral axis, and this rectangular section is nothing but it's a cross section of the beam. When such a beam is subjected to external bending moment, it will bend into the shape of arc. So this shape is nothing but the arc of the circle. It is due to the action of bending moment. Due to that, the layer which is above the neutral layer is in compression, and the layer which is below the neutral layer, it is in tension. Therefore, neutral layer, the name itself indicates that it is a layer which does not change its original length even after bending. The bending stress, it is always zero at the neutral layer. The name itself indicates what is neutral layer, where the bending stresses are zero. And what is neutral axis? Neutral axis, it is the line of intersection of the neutral layer with any normal section of the beam. It is the line of intersection of the neutral layer with the normal section of the beam is known as neutral axis. So this is all about the concept of neutral layer and neutral axis. In the next lecture, we will derive the flexural formula for the pure bending. So we will stop here. Thank you.